we had to run, just leave whatever we were doing, whether it was eating, whether we were sitting, sleeping. You just got to get up and run and try to find like a little area where you can't be seen from above. And it looked like a cave, but it wasn't a cave because it looked like a stony area that was surrounded. But the sky, you could see the sky. And that's when we had to find cover. And there was more than just us. It wasn't just our family. There were other families there as well. So we had to run and find cover. So that I can't forget that night too, because it was one of the scariest things I've ever experienced at the beginning, because I didn't know where we were going. I didn't question my mom because, you know, we don't question our parents to begin with. We just kind of like follow their lead.
Especially when you're little like that,
When I'm little like that, I didn't, you know, all I knew is like, we're going to go see Dad. That's all I remember. That we're going to go see Dad and your sister and your brother. And at that time, I kind of realized, like, okay, this could be kind of dangerous. This is something serious. And that was the first kind of experience that I had, that we're doing something that is not safe and we had to make it through. And yeah, so I
remember what it was like when you got to safety and you knew you'd made it? What that feeling was like?
Yes, I felt okay. I was nervous. I was scared. I was like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna be separate from my family? Am I gonna see my mom? Am I gonna see my little brother? All I remember is clinging on to my mom's cloth that she had, like whatever, like she had this dress with her cover, and I've never seen my mom cover before.
Yeah.
My mom never wore anything over her head, and she completely dressed like a villager. And first off, and she made me dress like a villager too, because we used to wear dresses and, you know, like shorts and skirts, and then we were dressed just like a village girl dresses, something on the bottom and then the dress and then a cover on the top. And my little brother dressed in like man jammies too. They used to wear that, but not the way that he had.
Yeah.
But that's when I realized, okay, this is crazy. But after I remember I could take a breath, and I was like, okay, so I remember being very thankful. At the same time, I knew my mom was next to me, and no matter what, she'll do whatever she can to protect me. I had faith in her, and I told myself, all I have to do is just cling to her until I make it to wherever we need to. I cannot keep away from my mom, not even like a few distance. I have to be close to her as much as I can. I remember that part. Because it was scary. It was very, very scary. Out of nowhere, somebody could have snatched me. Nobody was there that I knew. Everybody was a stranger. I didn't know who to trust. So it was a scary moment.
You were what,
as a kid?
5 or 6?
Yeah, around 5 o'clock. I mean 5 o'clock. 5 years old. Mommy brains.
All right. And what ethnicity are you?
My dad is from Zabul province. He's Pashtun. And my mom is Tajik. Tajik. And I was born in Kabul.
So when you went over there as a translator, what language did you primarily speak?
Primarily, my translating language was Pashto.
Okay.
The language that my father speaks.
Okay. And where was your base? You were in Helmand, right?
In Helmand, yes.
Do you know where in Helmand, or where was it?
We were in Helmand province. I want to say somewhere near Marja. Camp Leatherneck was where I went to begin with, and that was in Helmand province. I don't know exactly the location of it, but that one was in Helmand.
And you got brought in by helicopter? Or driven in?
I got to Camp Leatherneck, not in a helicopter, but on one of those small birds, the military birds, not the big ones, but the small ones. Carries about, I want to say 25 people.
Okay.
So that flight flew me from Bagram to Helmand. So that's how I made it to Helmand. And then from there, I flew in a bird to get to Marja.
And what was the base you were at? The small one that you were at with, it was all you and the guy?
Turbet. It was a
COP
company operating.
Company operating.
Yeah, Cop Turbet, Turbett, and it was named after the first Marine that died. It was one of the drug lords' compound that the Marines took over, and they made it their base.
Okay. Well, could you just describe the place a little bit, if you could?
Yes, it was. It was pretty much. It was made of concrete. It was like. It looked like a big building. It had lots of room. Kind of, they make their rooms with mud.
Yeah.
But the outside structure was concrete. I remember having HESCOs around the COP. We had an entrance. The Marine had to move the barbed wire out of the way so the vehicles or anything that is friendly pretty much would enter. And I remember the barbed wire being moved by the Marines after they make sure that they know who's entering the base. And then they would close the barbed wire, and it was so dusty. Like it's just dry dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
I was walking and my feet was getting buried into it. And I looked around myself. I'm like, how am I gonna make it in this place? Like, this is insane. Like I can barely walk.
Yeah.
So it was covered by HESCOs, and as I entered it, it was like a mud wall that was made of mud, and it had a little opening after I entered. Like so I entered through the HESCO, and then quite far I walked because there was enough room for all the vehicles. They had a burn pit too right by the entrance where they burn their trash, and I walked in. I wouldn't call it sand. What is it called? Dirt, right? It was just dirt.
Yeah.
Clean dirt. Their dirt is like white.
Like a silt or something?
Yeah. And they had, our A&A tents were there too, outside the brick wall. So the A&A, which was the Afghan National Army, their tent was outside. I walked in through the little opening, and then that's when the base was. They had a chow hall, which was on the right side. And then there was a little well, and then as you walk in, then the compound would be on the right side, and that's when everything was.
Did you have a tent yourself, or?
No, I shared a room with 2 female Marines.
Okay. And you went to one where you were just the only woman for a while too?
That was Marja.
Marja?
Yeah. So
okay.
the COP that I described was COP Trebek, my final destination where I was sent. Can I take this really quick?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And Marja was...
Marja, when I landed on Marja, it was... I flew in the dark. And the way I flew, it was... That was another scary moment of my whole trip. The bird was full. There was no seat. There was no seat. They just actually had these big boxes in the middle because that had to do with supply for the Marines that they had to bring on board, and the flights were so booked that you had to make it no matter what.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of like squatting in a corner, my first time ever in a bird by myself. That was my first helicopter ride, I remember, because before that it was regular plane, and I was just hunchback like this, and then I would look around and it was just all Marines.
Yeah.
And they were all dirty, and it was really smelly, and I'm looking at myself, I'm like, why don't they shower? Like, why do you have to be so dirty?
Yeah.
And then I'm just like sitting there, just hoping that this trip is over soon, so I could just make it to where I need to go, so I could just relax, because I'm just jumping from one place to another.
Yeah.
It was pitch dark. There was no sign of light. The helicopter was dark. They told us when we get off the bird not to use any kind of light at all whatsoever. If you do need to use a light, they gave us this red little laser light. It had to be red, no other color, if you do need to use it. And that trip, I want to say, was for 40. We were in there for 40 minutes, and when we stopped, I remember just the bird landing, and it was just dust flying everywhere. And it was pitch dark. I couldn't see anything. Out of nowhere, they were yelling like, "Get off the bird! Get off the bird!" And I had no idea where I'm supposed to go. I have 3 duffel bags, actually 4 duffel bags that I have to carry, figure out what to do. And then all I'm hearing is just get off the bird now, get off the bird now, because they were worried that they're going to get attacked, which I come to learn later. And after we got off the bird, I remember it was just dirty and dusty, incredibly dusty. I got off the bird, and then I remember trying to turn around, and because they were just tossing the bags, they didn't care whose bag it is. They were just getting it off the bird so the bird couldn't leave. And I remember trying to locate where my duffel bag is, and I remember one of the Marines literally grabbed me from the back of my shirt and just dragged me like, "Get away! Don't worry about that right now. Just move," because that was their flying zone where the bird would fly in and get out. They just say, "You just need to go cover right now, and then your stuff will get to you." And after the bird left, then it was safe for us to be able to go because there's no sound, there's nothing for us to be able to. There's nothing for the enemies to know that there's an activity here, so they can attack. And that's when we were okay to go get the stuff. Let me go get the.
All right.
So, get any more questions, or you want me to continue on what I was talking about?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nothing. So after the bird left, then we were okay to go get our belongings. And I was walking to try to get my bag, and then all I know is that there were just Marines running and grabbing whatever bag that there was, try to bring it inside, where it's away from the landing zone. And I had to look for my bag. I had to gather it all in one place. Thankfully, being the female and them knowing that I'm a female because I'm like the smallest person on the entire COB, I got quite a bit of help. And as I was sitting there waiting to see where I need to go, actually, and now as I'm talking about it, I'm remembering. So as when they told us to go take cover, just don't worry about your belongings, they actually had about, I want to say, 2 or 3 detainees that they were ready to put them on the bird. And that was the first time ever I've seen anybody, like pretty much our enemies, like the Taliban. That was the first time ever I've even like known that, oh my God, like it really hit me like, okay, this is getting real. The minute I'm getting closer and closer to where I need to go, it's becoming more real.
Yeah.
It's becoming, okay, I'm a war zone. This is no joke. This is not fun. This is something really serious, and this is something that is very hazardous. And I remember getting chills down my spine, and at that time I was like, okay, like I'm going to be seeing these people on a daily basis. I'm going to be interacting with them, and I should be okay seeing them. Their face was, their eyes were covered. And they actually had, one of them was in shorts and a t-shirt. It didn't even have the traditional clothes on. And I could tell that he was a little different compared to the other 2 that actually have their regular Afghan clothes. But that was my first experience seeing the Taliban's up close. And then after that...
Did you know they were Taliban, or did somebody tell you? Or
when I looked around and the Marines... my face, they can read what was going on.
Yeah.
And as I was looking around and I looked at one of the Marines like this, he's like, yeah, you know. And that's when I was like, okay, so this is what they look like in face to face. Couldn't see their eyes or anything like that. But after that one's over, I thought my night is going to get better. But I got my stuff and I had to look for, I'm trying to remember his name, I had to look for a staff sergeant that was in charge of the translators to make sure that they go to where you need to go. So I had to leave my belongings, and then after the bird left, everybody kind of left on their own way. I had to find somebody that knows the staff sergeant. Luckily, the Marines were helpful and they guided me to him. So he came out and he actually had Marines help me carry my bags. And I remember just walking in the dark. All I know is I'm following this guy called Staff Sergeant. I don't remember his name. He was a staff sergeant. I was following him. And he said, yeah, you know, for him it was normal, like just another day, I guess. And for me, I was like, okay, where am I going? He took me to a tent that had about 6 cots. And the cots were like falling apart. And he's like, this is our female tent. And I'm like, this is